viewers. Welcome back, viewers. And going back to the story, which has been stoked by the Congress party of controversy surrounding the seating arrangement in the Central Hall of Parliament when the oath-taking of President Draupadi Murmu was taking place. And the Congress and the entire opposition in Rajya Sabha, in fact, very unhappy that the leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge, was not given a chair proportionate to his office and was, in fact, according to the opposition, a breach of precedence, a breach of courtesies, a breach of protocol, and a breach of warrant of precedence. But now we have a fact check coming in from our digital desk and from Ketna, which says that in 2012 also, Niranjan, I'll go to you. Please explain these pictures. What are they? I can see Arun Jaitley sitting in a corner just like Mallikarjun Kharge, except that Jaitley is not as grumpy as Mallikarjun Kharge. Why we are bringing these two pictures? Please show these two pictures between 2012 and 2022 and explain the difference for the benefit of viewers and for the benefit of opposition as well. Niranjan.
Well, you see, Abhishek, this is perhaps the 6th or 7th time in the last 15 days, in the last fortnight, that we've actually fact-checked them on extremely silly claims that were being made. You'll remember the unparliamentary expressions, and then there was a claim made about, if I can ask my producers to cut back to the surface, I'll just show you the exact picture. This is Arun Jaitley. I'm going to clear this again. This is Arun Jaitley. Here's Manmohan Singh and Arun Jaitley. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister then. Arun Jaitley is here right at the corner, leader of opposition back then. And then you have Mallikarjun Kharge. Abhishek, you can perhaps come here and explain to us if you see any difference in the seating between 2012 and 2022. This is when Pranab Mukherjee became the president. This is when Draupadi Murmu became the president. Back then, of course, most of the Congress leaders are smiling. Now the union ministers are smiling. Kharge seems extremely upset. But as far as the seating controversy goes, do you see any difference, Abhishek?
The difference I see is that Jaitley is gracious enough to clap. He's clapping along with everyone else after the oath. But Mr. Kharge is grumpy. He's unhappy. He's not clapping. Apart from that, of course, Mr. Jaitley is sitting to the extreme right. Incidentally, it's so extreme left, and incidentally, it so happens that he is sitting just ahead of Mr. Kharge, and Mr. Kharge was not given that courtesy of sitting in the front row by his own party. But here, of course, he's the leader of opposition and the cabinet rank, and that's why he's sitting next to the Union Cabinet Minister Sarbanan Sonowal, to whose right is Narayan Rane, another cabinet minister. And there seems to be one chair vacant, perhaps for one another union minister who did not come. And apart from that, again, Dharmendra Pradhan, Piyush Goyal, Smriti Irani, Arjun Munda, behind another row of union ministers. In fact, yes, behind is another row of union ministers, and then Prime Minister's Principal Secretary P.K. Mishra and other dignitaries going back. But what is important is that the only difference, Niranjan, I can see is between 2012 and 2022, that Mr. Kharge is not very happy. Mr. Jaitley, though pensive, is still clapping along with the rest of the dignitaries present on the completion of oath, Niranjan. That's the only difference I can see.
Well, the exact words used were, Abhishek, that it's not commensurate with the position of the leader of opposition. I don't see any difference with the seating here at all. So is it a clear case of a non-issue being blown up once again? Abhishek.
Well, as it happens, it seems that opposition has a short memory, and they would not have realized that this kind of fact check can be done, Niranjan, in these days of social media, where you can really quickly pull out those visuals from the past and an immediate fact check can be done. So I think it's now up to the opposition really to explain, or the Congress party particularly, given the fact that Mr. Kharge comes from the grand old party, that whether this is wrong or this is right, or this is wrong and this is right. So I think that kind of explanation would only come from the opposition, Niranjan. We can't say, but we have just sort of our digital desk has fact-checked, the research team has fact-checked on whether there was any, any disrespect shown to the leader of opposition. If it has been shown this time, was it shown that time as well?
Yeah, and in the last few days, Abhishek, you've had the unparliamentary expressions claim, you've had the issue of banned word list, and you've had several other issues which were blown up essentially to gain political mileage. But it appears that each time there was documentary proof, for example, in the unparliamentary expressions list, it was a practice followed from the 1950s. On the banned word list, something that has been followed for decades. And another non-issue being blown up. And you had that picture, ironically, that was also tweeted by the same Jairam Ramesh, if I'm not wrong, when he said, who's the real leader? There were pictures of Sonia Gandhi with Ansari when she went to file nomination. So I think it's sort of, it's been a field day for anybody who had to fact check. Not like the kind of fact checks that happen nowadays, but the kind of fact check that is out there and you really do a fact check and throw it back at them. It's sort of, blatant. Back to you, Abhishek. We'll have to take a short break. We'll take a break, come back with the live coverage. Back to you.
Right, thank you so much, Niranjan. We, of course, continue our rolling coverage of developments in Parliament and other news after a short break. Be right back.